Hi Gerard, could you tell us a little more about your volunteering experience here at South Wales Aviation Museum?
Well, I'm actually one of the fortunate ones. I saw an advert in an online magazine saying that two men were trying to set up an aviation museum here, and because I've got a passion for aviation, I thought that's for me. I came down to the meeting in February 2019 where a lot of people had turned up to find out what volunteering was going to be like, and then we cleared the hangar of aircraft, we tidied everything up ready to open in April 2019. So I've been here right from the start and I've been volunteering ever since.
Have you got any interesting stories that you can tell us about your time here?
Well, we've got some fantastic aircraft on display and some very interesting aircraft on display. And I get a lot of information about the aircraft sometimes from the stories that visitors tell when they come and they say, I've worked on this particular aircraft, or I've done something with this aircraft, or I know something about the history. So one example would be, we have the world's most famous Phantom here, Black Mike, and I thought I knew things about Black Mike. And then one day someone turned around and said to their son, that's the aircraft you fly on your computer game. And I discovered that, unknown to me, the aircraft was actually used in a computer game.
So with regards to volunteering, do you think that more people should be volunteering?
Yeah, volunteering is enjoyable. So you don't have to do it out of a sense of civic duty. It's great to get people here. If you like talking to people, you haven't got to like aircraft. If you like talking to people and watching the smiles on their faces and the excitement of climbing into a real fighter aircraft, then that's the benefit of being a volunteer here. If you're of a mind, I couldn't do that because I don't know anything about planes, everything you need to know about them is written down because we have a researcher, Stuart, who prepares detailed notes with each aircraft that are on a little display stand next to them. It's all about the fun of interacting with people and interacting with planes.
So if I was interested in volunteering here at SWAM, what sort of roles might be available to me?
Well, there's actually two broad roles for volunteers. If you like the idea of not talking to the public but getting hands-on with the aircraft, we have a restoration group, and their role is to fix the aircraft, reassemble them when they come in packaged in small parcels, repair the aircraft, restore the aircraft currently on display, and generally look after that side of it. You don't want to talk to the public at all. If you like chatting to the public, if you like working with a team that are excited and interested in working with the public, then that's the other major role, is actually getting hands-on with members of the public when they come in, when the museum's open. There's also a very minor separate role. We're looking to accredit the museum, and that is going to involve a lot of paperwork, a lot of marking and recording all the exhibits, and that requires volunteers as well, and that's a process that we're just starting at the moment.
That's great. Are there any upcoming events at SWAM that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, we usually do 3 significant events throughout the year. We usually have a summer fair, so keep an eye on our Facebook page just to find out about this. We have a summer fair when the museum is open as a summer fair rather than a museum. We close the cockpits off and close the access to the display rooms off because there's lots of tables out in the hangar where people are selling things for the summer fair. We do the same thing at Christmas. We have a Christmas fair, in which case we have a Santa's Grotto. One of the aircraft will be turned into a Santa's Grotto, and there will be other things for sale on stalls and so forth from local vendors. And the other thing that we do that is quite exciting for children is we put a bit of a Halloween affair on, where we have scary people wandering around, and also the opportunity of being told scary stories by the Pumpkin Man, who has a lair again in one of the aircraft.
You told me earlier that at the Aviation Museum people can actually get into the planes?
That's right. Unusually, and I'm very proud of this, all our aircraft are available for people to get up close and personal with, and the number you can actually sit in. So our most famous Phantom, for example, Black Mike, you can sit in that aircraft. You can play being Tom Cruise, even though it's the wrong sort of aircraft. You can say, I feel the need for speed, while sitting in a supersonic fighter jet.
That's great. So one last question. What's your favourite plane at the museum?
Well, it used to be Black Mike, and Black Mike was the very first aircraft I sat in when I started volunteering here. But we've now taken delivery of a Jaguar, Seatcat Jaguar, another Cold War frontline tactical fighter aircraft that went to war actually in the first Gulf War as well. And it stole my heart. There's something about the look of it as it sits on the ground that it's become my new favourite.
That's great. Thank you ever so much for your time today, Gerard.
My pleasure.
We're in the modern conflict room with Pat. Pat would like to tell us a little bit more about her journey of volunteering.
Well, I spent most of my life travelling with my father and my husband with the forces, and we had we didn't have a proper job because we were travelling all the time, so I did an awful lot of volunteering with youngsters and elderly through my life. And when I came here and this museum opened, it was I could make use of my volunteering here, and this was one of my first things I did. It's about Berlin. I went to Berlin twice as a volunteer with Scouts, and all these bits are bits I brought back.
Pat, as we've walked around the museum, you've shown me some wonderful pictures that you've actually painted for the museum. Could you tell me a little bit more about the one on the wall?
Yeah, well, this one was painted. It's the Lancasters returning from a bombing run, and you can see Lincoln Cathedral in the background.
You were telling me about this cabinet, Pat, and how your husband contributed to one of the items in it. He also volunteers here at the Aviation Museum. Can you tell us a little bit more about the item in the cabinet?
Well, we paid a visit to the Hut 9 in Bridgend. It's only open a couple of times a year, and because we were given some mud balls that was in the cabinet, and my husband thought they were just sitting there, and he made a layout of the camp out of a kitchen unit and decorated and painted it, and a little write-up so people would know more about it.
Pat, thank you so much for telling us about the museum today and the role you play as a volunteer. We've talked about some of the exhibits, in particular some of your favourite, but there's one left to talk about. Can you tell us a little bit about the man in the picture?
Yeah, well, he was my father. He was about 20 years old, and he was in the Air Force, and he was picked to train on liberators in America. So he went over by boat to Iceland, and then across Canada on the train. He visited Hollywood, and when he came back he worked on liberators in Northern Ireland, and then he got posted to North Africa as a bomb disposal, and then into Italy, and he did that for a short time, and then the Air Force got a load of liberators which he'd been trained in America to work on, and he was reposted then to work on liberators for the rest of the year, the rest of the war. And he got the Italian Star as part of his medals.
That's a fantastic story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. I'd like to ask you one more question though. Would you recommend volunteering to other people?
Oh, definitely. I found that volunteering, it's a giving and a taking. I find that taking, I get the thrill of the place. I've learned an awful lot from being, especially at this museum, that I didn't know about, even with travelling with the Air Force, because otherwise you don't hear much. So I've learned a lot here, and I'm mixing with a lot of other people, and the lads are really great. And the giving is the fact that I'm hopefully inspiring a younger generation that come here on the school visits and the Cubs and Scouts things, and they learn a bit of history that they probably don't know about, and I connect up the plane with the events we've had over the years.
So talking about the planes, do you have a favourite plane in the museum?
Oh yes, my favourite plane is the Shackleton, and it's mine. I call her the old lady, and I'm still waiting for her tail to go on.
Thank you ever so much for your time today, Pat. So this room looks a little bit bare. Can you tell us something about your plans for the room?
Well, this is my latest project that I'm involved in. We decided to do a ladies' room, as it's a men's environment. So we've got the blues, and we've got boards here with different things on it. And I'm doing, at the beginning of flight, the ATA, which is when the girls flew from the factory to the camps, to the planes in the war. This one here is the space age, and the flew in the rockets in space, and now the recent pilots. This is going to be the bits and pieces which we're gathering, and on the other side, we're going to have doing, making and doing. So we're covering nurses, the NAFI, making parachutes, doing long things, and doing engineers, radio workers, and everything like that. So we're covering the whole system of ladies from the beginning right up to today.
Well, I can't wait to come back and see this room when it's finished.
Yes, I'm looking, it's quite a challenge.